Well, all right. Well, we're kind of about 2 minutes after, so I figured we'd go ahead and start diving into our presentation today. Welcome to everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. We're really excited to have GNGF and Jamie for a presentation on marketing trends. So in addition to kind of those traditional marketing, we're also going to discuss some communication trends, kind of all stages of the funnel from lead to new client. Before we get started, just two quick things that we wanted to kind of let everybody know about. First is we do have time for Q&A at the end. So we do have a Q&A feature. Feel free to drop in questions as we're going along, and we'll make sure and kind of save some time for the end to answer some of those questions. And Jamie, feel free to kind of shout out any of them if they make sense as we go along as well. And then also, we are recording this webinar, so feel free to take as many notes as you'd like, but just know that you will be getting a copy of this recording yet this week. Awesome. Well, let's dive in. We'll kind of start with just an introduction of our speakers today. So myself, I am Libby Luff. I am the Strategic Partnership Manager here at PracticePanther. And so that means I get to collaborate with state and local bars, legal associations really across the country, and then great partners like Jamie here at GNGF. And we're really here to kind of help support, educate, and empower law firms so they can efficiently and effectively manage their practice. So I'll let Jamie kind of take a moment and introduce herself now.
Yeah, my name is Jamie Kohls. I am the Marketing and Partnership Manager at GNGF. And from the sounds of it, it's similar to the Strategic Partnership Manager at PracticePanther. I actually also speak at different CLEs. I do different webinars and stuff to teach people about marketing and how to market ethically, especially as an attorney. And in furtherance of that, GNGF is a full service marketing agency where we work with clients anywhere from small to large size firms on just really developing their marketing plan and instituting a digital marketing presence. And we're really excited to be here today. So thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you. And we're going to do kind of just a quick highlight of PracticePanther and GNGF for kind of anybody out there who might not be familiar. But first off, PracticePanther, we're an all-in-one legal practice management solution. And so really it allows your team to automate those workflows. So you can kind of really set those tasks, those reminders, those tags, those really ever important tags. You can customize your intake through really unique digital forms, and then really save all of that information related to your contact, your case, and documents all in one place. You'll get the added convenience of native e-signature and two-way texting built right into the platform. And you can also get paid up to 70% faster when you use our billing and e-payments feature. And so those are some really great aspects to managing your practice.
Yeah, and as I said before, GNGF is a full service marketing agency where we do everything from SEO to website design. You can see quite a few of our different services there. And there's more than that, but those are like the big ticket items that people really like to see in their full service marketing agencies. But also we have the Legal Marketing Academy, which was developed about a year and a half ago now, where we help small to medium-sized firms who are just getting started marketing and maybe are building up that revenue to start spending in marketing, actually learn how to do it on their own and learn the way marketing should go so that they can vet the right types of marketing agencies, right? Like we want them to be so informed that they know when a marketing agency is not really performing the way that they should. And that's what the Legal Marketing Academy is all about, is teaching attorneys how to be prepared when interacting with different marketing agencies or marketing professionals.
Yeah, and I saw that academy on your site. It looks really cool. It's a great tool for law firms just to kind of level up on their marketing.
Absolutely.
Fantastic. So as we mentioned, Jamie, GNGF, they're really focused on that long-term legal marketing success. And so that's why we really kind of wanted to bring in their expertise to really talk about that current state of legal marketing, as well as those communication expectations really in the new year. Clients are becoming more digitally savvy, so we just have to be kind of tweaking what we're doing, really meeting those expectations. We're briefly going to hit on those marketing must-haves for your current strategy, as well as what's trending in this new year. And we're also going to talk about the importance of CRM tools for law firms and measuring your results so you really know where to continue making those investments moving forward. So I'm really going to let Jamie lead it off here.
Yeah, so you've probably noticed that like no matter where you look, no matter what news outlets you're looking at, they're talking about the big R word, right? Recession. And we can't really have a conversation about marketing spend and about the future of marketing without kind of talking about how the recession is going to affect law firms, right? And though we kind of think here at GNGF that a lot of attorneys, depending on the industry, right, are kind of in a recession proof environment, we still find that there's a lot of resistance to spend externally when things like recession or pandemic are mentioned. But we actually took it upon ourselves during the pandemic to kind of do our own research at GNGF because we wanted to see what people who are still spending in, not just people, law firms, are still spending in marketing. What are they actually growing, or are they kind of just sustaining and like everybody else, right? So we did the research, and you had to be spending a certain amount. Like I think it was, we could be spending under $1,000 a month. So to be a part of this kind of research for us. But if you spent in marketing, you were actually more likely to increase from the year prior to, even during the pandemic, you were going to increase your revenue that next year if you were still spending during the pandemic, right? But if you didn't spend, you were actually shrinking. You might not have had the biggest like jump like you did during like a very healthy economy, right? You're not gonna see exponential growth, but you're still growing. You're still getting bigger, even if you're just spending a little bit of marketing during these times of economic hardship. So
Yeah.
that's just like insane to us. We were so, like kind of flabbergasted by the numbers, because how can you grow during economic hardship, right? That doesn't make sense to a lot of people. It's not innate. It's not what we think about, but you really can. And we see the pandemic, because it had such a harsh impact on the economy, being similar to something like the impending recession.
That's really interesting information, especially to know that, when you keep making those investments, even if you don't not making more investments, but just keeping your brand out there is how it's just so important these days.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, great. Well, let's kind of talk about the evolution of marketing for law firms, because it's really a field that really continues to adapt. You have to adapt to new technology, new social and legal developments. So today, obviously, talking about trends. But while trends will give us an idea of the current marketing climate, really wanted to kind of examine the legal marketing history, and it kind of provides a more holistic understanding of the industry, I think. So to really see how far we've come, I figured we'd start over here on the left in 1977 with that Supreme Court decision, Bates versus Arizona, really paving the way for legal marketing to kind of take place. And then 20 years later, it's kind of crazy to think about, but yeah, 20 years, you're talking about ABA is now starting to make these guides for law firms. They actually published in 1996 their very first edition of the Lawyer's Guide to Marketing on the Internet, which is awesome.
That's a great title.
Right, I agree. And so they know you're leading and you're starting to kind of understand the internet. But in the late 90s, kind of early 2000s, Yellow Pages really dominated that advertising, especially for law firms. I know law firms were spending, thousands of dollars annually to kind of really get that visibility in the printed Yellow Pages, which is just kind of crazy to even think about right now. And so, but the Yellow Pages kind of really paved that way for really those directory listings, early SEO and things like that, because you're talking about just 2 years later in 2007 when the iPhone was invented. So it's crazy to think how far we've come since 2007. And now with kind of that invention of the smartphone and really being on your smartphone more, that social media really started taking effect. And by 2013, you were able to advertise on really all the major social platforms: Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, really honing in on those specific targeted audiences, which then kind of led to that really mobile boom of traffic. When in 2016, you're talking about over half of all the internet traffic is coming from mobile phones. So it's really kind of crazy to think where we've come from. And now, everybody's really on their phone to kind of understand what's going on in the world.
I think that's definitely key. Like, not even just like mobile phones and directories. They're not just checking one of those places, right? Like they're doing all of their research. They're going to Google Business Profile, they're going to your website, there's just
Right.
so much more expansive than the 2005 Yellow Pages days.
Exactly. And it's funny you say that because, now you really have to meet your clients where they are. That's on their cell phone. Kind of as Jamie mentioned, you're shopping, you're communicating, you're checking, sending emails, you're getting directions, you're managing your finances. Really, you can do just about everything from your mobile phone. And now we're finding that over half of consumers are considering themselves more digital than ever. We're seeing that really, COVID really took those digital expectations and really fast forwarded everything. You're looking at 83% of people across the world have smartphones. That's not even just cell phones, that's smartphones connected to the internet. And also, you're looking at 81% of Americans are texting regularly, and they're opening and reading those texts. So these habits aren't going to disappear overnight, and really they're forecasted to be the new norm. There's even a Gallup poll out there that says 58% of Americans think they use their smartphones too much. 58% already know that we're using it too much. So really lean into your client's relationship with their phones. And then we'll let Jamie talk about finally what's trending, why we're all here today.
Yeah. So when we think about marketing and law firms, these words that I have up here on the slide are kind of what just comes to mind right away, right? Because that's what people have been doing and are doing now. And to be competitive in the market, you should already be doing these things. And if you're not, we need to get on it, right? Like these things are baseline. They're not what's trending because they've been trending. And so the importance is not under stress. Like seriously, if you don't have one of these things, please get them. But it's not exactly what we're focusing on today because it's not new. It's not what's coming, right? So if you can go to the next slide, you may have heard of the AIDA funnel or model. And basically what that is that there's different types of people and ways that people interact with brands that marketing professionals like to think about, right? And so the social media, the SEO and the website, a lot of those fall into this desire and action category. Basically meaning that they either know that they have a need, meaning they got into a car accident, they need a will, and they're searching for an attorney to help with that need, or they know you, right? They specifically seek out Kohls and Associates, and they come and they hire me as an attorney, right? And the action part is like making it easy on your website. Like, oh, obviously I can call right from my phone, right from the website, or I can easily fill out this form and they're going to give me a call back. Those things have been focused on. They're very important, but what we want to focus on is maybe the top part of this funnel to come, right? So if you go to the next slide, awareness. And awareness is all about making people who have no idea that they need an attorney or no idea who you are aware that you exist, and be ready for them for when they inevitably need your services. So what we're talking about here is a lot of the like press release stuff or even Hulu ads, right? It sounds crazy, but TV ads were kind of a thing of the past in this awareness category. And now people are looking more towards streaming ads because that's where people are. And especially with Hulu ads, you can kind of do things like geofencing. And for those of you who don't know what geofencing is, it's like limiting your ads to a specific area. And then you can even get as nitty gritty as someone who has an interest in crime documentaries, like it just depends. And so we're really working on, especially at GNGF, honing in this specific awareness category because it's the future of marketing. And that's really where we want to be.
Awesome.
So some of the ways that you can kind of hone in on that idea of awareness, like I said, is over the OTT services, which is over the top services, and Hulu ads, geofencing, even creating that ideal client avatar to utilize when you're using those types of services. And for those of you who don't know what that is, ideal client avatar is kind of that person in your brain who is the best client you could ever have, right? And so Not everyone's going to be that, obviously, but that's who you're working to get. And other ways of awareness is Google Business Profile. Google updates consistently throughout the year, 500 to 600 times a year. Google is updating. Not everyone's like a core like update that's going to change the world. Usually that happens about once or twice a year, but they're updating, and for you to kind of maintain a presence in their updated systems, just continue to post, right? Continue to have that presence, continue to interact with Google Business Profile. And then retargeting. There is so much value in a client that you loved working with, right? Who just loved your services. You had a great relationship as you worked with them, and they might have a need for you again later. Like, you're not one and done. Like, and they also have friends. So if you're talking to them, continuing that established relationship with them, like, you could get so much out of that that it's worth it to continue that relationship. And then lastly, understanding reviews. And by what I mean by that is, we think of reviews as a way of like, oh, we did a good job or we did a bad job, right? And that kind of can influence how we perform our services, or like whether or not we're going and talking to an employee about a particular issue. But we can also use reviews as a way to step back and say, what systematically in our law firm needs to change to improve our overall user experience. And so we can kind of make educated changes and strategic changes within our firm that will ultimately pay off in the long run, especially when you're retargeting current customers.
Fantastic. That's a great slide. And so when you're really thinking about marketing to leads, that's really one thing. From a new lead to close clients, people are really looking for that great experience. And great communication is one important feature that makes the process of working with you as efficient as possible. So we really have kind of 3 communication tools we wanted to talk about on this presentation just real quick, because these are going to be really important kind of throughout the entire process, from the leads to those established clients, as Jamie mentioned, and really retargeting those. So we have our live chats and chat bots, which is really a majority of people would rather use anymore, just to kind of answer a really quick question. Same thing with two-way text communication. They just have a really amazing open and read rate, and it's really what people are preferring. And then finally, those client portals are really important. They're dependable, they're secure, and if you can safely share communication and documents through those portals. So I'll let Jamie kind of jump in and start talking about these live chat to start.
Yeah, so chatbots are so important today because not only is it making yourself available to a person with a need 24/7, right? A lot of times when a person has a legal issue, it's usually pretty dramatic, right? Like, it's usually like, I need help right now. And that could be at 9 o'clock at night. And they're going to search, and they're not going to feel okay until they feel like, oh, I have this meeting scheduled with an attorney. I'm fine. I'm working towards getting help. But if they can't do that in the middle of the night, they're going to go to the next attorney. They're going to go to the next attorney who can. So virtual assistants allow you to kind of bridge that gap without you working 24/7, because we don't want that either. We want work-life balance as much as possible within the legal community. I know that that's a lot easier said than done. But we want to be able to sleep at night. So virtual assistants kind of allow us to have that 24/7 open policy on our Google Business Profile, because if you have someone answering the phones, you're technically available. You might not be scheduling consultations at that time, but you're available to them, and that allows you to be 24/7 on Google Business Profile. And they're going to call you. So we use these virtual assistants to help not only our work-life balance, but also our visibility to our clients. And as you can see in the next slide, this is actually, I stole this off of a friend of ours at GNGF. His name's Guy, but he posted this on LinkedIn not too long ago. I was like, this is perfect. But you can see that people or law firms are losing contacts because they are not answering the phone, right? And they're slipping through the cracks. Unresponded voicemails, like, that's not okay, right? So we want to make sure that we have the systems in place in our law firm to bridge that gap, to make sure no one's slipping through the cracks, because that might be the best client that you've had walk through the door in 3 months. And that might be the client that you were working on getting through all your marketing efforts in the past 6 months, right? Like that could pay off that marketing effort. And so we don't want things like that to slip through the cracks. So getting that chat service is so important. Being available to your clients and the potential clients is so, so important.
Mm-hmm.
And then for those of you who are like, oh, I've heard about this chat group and my friend hated them and I don't want to use them. There's so many out there. And really it depends on who you are as a firm, what kind of presentation you want to portray as a firm, to what type of chat box you actually use and service and work well with. So I gave 2 examples here and they're kind of different. That's why I wanted to use them, but there's a lot more out there. But Smith AI, they're great, especially with qualification questions, right? They're going to ask all those hard questions to make sure you're not talking to somebody who's not a good fit for your firm, right? They're going to do all that hard work, heavy lifting in the early stages to make sure that they are utilizing your time correctly. And then Intaker, though they do a lot of qualification, they're a lot more personal. They actually pop up as a video. So it's going to be, whether it's the head attorney or an attorney related to a specific area of practice, they're going to pop up with a video welcoming them, inciting them to either fill out a form or tell us more about their case, whatever it is. And they're going to invite that person in a way that's a lot different. And I always think like, wow, that's so nice for something that's like got a lot of anxiety behind it, right? Like a very sensitive topic. So there's definitely, I'd encourage you to look and do your research, but there's a lot out there and it's really just what the best fit is for your firm.
Yeah, and I agree. And some of the really great part about these chatbots is, you're filling out a form through a conversation. You're not necessarily filling out a form anymore. So it's just much more personalized, more personable in general. And so, and I'm in agreement with Jamie as well. We work with Smith AI and Intaker as well, and been able to kind of utilize and see those chatbots, and they're pretty impressive. Mm-hmm. And then I'm going to really talk about some great experience that you can have through texting, because texting is really a simple way to communicate. And again, simplicity is a key to the great experience. That great experience keeps people coming back. So just kind of a few highlights here. Why text? Why are we thinking about texting right now? And it's really a changing preference, what's happening. They're becoming the preferred choice of communication. It's easy to kind of send a quick notification, answer a quick question. They really get that fast message delivery. And they're talking about text messages really being opened 4 times higher than the rate of emails. So I know we've all experienced the email that just never gets responded to. And so, you need a quicker response. Something like texting is definitely something we would consider when you're moving forward with your communication tools. And then we have some really benefits of native texting, which is what's unique to PracticePanther. You can still chat instantly with your leads and your clients. What's really cool about this is you actually get to utilize a unique firm phone number. So you're actually in our platform texting. You don't have to be utilizing your personal cell phone number, giving your personal cell phone number out to everybody. So it's a really kind of a great way to still be able to text and have those conversations. And it's really built right into that platform. So you don't have to worry about another third-party subscription, another cost, another long-term phone plan or anything like that. This will be really a single source of truth for your entire law firm. They can kind of go and check these communications and find out what's going on to really streamline that internal operations. You can sync those conversations to matters, and you can kind of really send and receive and monitor those ongoing conversations. And so it's been, really great to have that native texting option. And so we're talking about texting, but there's, it's really important that this communication is convenient, it's fast, and it's familiar. While email and written letters and documents, they should still lay out the finer details of legal matters. That we definitely are not looking to replace those things. But what SMS does is it facilitates a quick and efficient information exchange. So some of the things to kind of keep in mind, it is what clients prefer. but still, get those opt-in things happening. You still want to make sure you're getting permission to be communicating, because privacy, is going to be very important to all of us as consumers. And 85% of us, really prefer SMS to emails or calls. Conversation is preferred over a notification. With texting, there's a couple different ways you can go about it. You have those push notifications. You might be familiar anytime you get a reminder to attend an appointment, whether it's for your law firm or something like a dentist hair appointment, those kind of one push text notifications that nobody can really reply to. What your clients are looking for is really that conversation, which is really what's cool about our business two-way texting, is you can kind of have that conversation and you can reply back to your clients. And then really keeping things professional. You're not texting with family and friends. And so it's really important to kind of keep in mind to keep the slang and the emojis and things like that really out of your conversations.
Yeah, I think that's an important point. I think it's being available where they need you to be available, but you're not necessarily their best friend just because you're texting them. So that's
Exactly.
I love that.
Awesome. Yeah, I definitely agree. And it's very easy to be casual in texting. And so just reminding yourself, this is still part of work and part of an important communication. It's still a tool, but it's a very convenient one. And so kind of that last one we wanted to talk about is investing really in the client portal for, again, that easy and secure communication. What we're really kind of seeing is this is really our new lobby. We're not having the interactions in your office with your clients. You're not always bringing the meetings to your office. Your clients are preferring tech and they're preferring ease of use. So the portal is really kind of now your gathering place. And you should ensure it looks just as good as your lobby does, especially from that client perspective. How does it look? Does it look like your law firm? Is it branded? Is it easy to use? Because obviously that's going to be one of the biggest things. And then really having that complete access to client history, really kind of seeing the conversations, the documents, and what even the payment is all about, because you can even talk about payment and make payments happen in the client portal. So these are a really great investment for law firms moving forward if you haven't considered, or maybe you don't fully utilize your client portal yet. And again, with PracticePanther, you can keep your clients up to date, instantly let them know when there's a balance due or maybe past due, depending on what you need. There's some sort of meeting coming up. And really, for a big thing for our clients, it really took the time out of chasing things down. Those constant reminders, it's just that constant follow-up that isn't needed from your team. It could be tech focused and sending those automatic reminders and things like that through the portal to kind of keep things moving for your clients and for their cases.
All right. So let's talk about CRM, right? Because practice management and PracticePanther type of software is so important. You should definitely be using them, but not to the exclusion of CRM, right? They work together and they work on different areas of your practice, whether you think about it like that or not. They are great in combination with each other. But what is CRM? CRM is a customer relationship management. And basically what it allows you to do is kind of automate that early marketing and sales portion of running a law firm. Law firms do not like the word sales. I've found that in my conversations with a lot of lawyers over the years, and really that mindset shift is so hard. It's hard to say I'm going out and selling because of the situations that a lot of our clients are in, but a lot of the early practices that you're doing really is sales. You're doing cold calls, right? Or you're doing even consultation calls are part of sales. It's really enticing them to buy. And whether or not that's signing a contract or purchasing maybe a will, it is the sales process. And the CRM is going to allow you to kind of track that particular lead through that marketing and sales process. What marketing tactics actually made them bite, right? So you'll be able to see that. You'll be like, oh, they saw that webinar, or oh, they saw that email that I sent out about car crashes. And that's going to be able to show you where your efforts are best spent. And CRM is so important in being the light bulb of marketing, right? It's going to be oh, Of course, that's what we should be doing more of because it works in our area, in our practice. And so if you go to the next slide, you can kind of see that relationship between a CRM and a PM, which is practice management. So CRM is going to follow you through that marketing and a lot of your intake. So it's going to follow you, kind of allow you to track those conversations that you're having early. Maybe they haven't decided whether or not they're going with a specific attorney. So you're going to be like, okay, they're in their portal. You're going to say, oh, they're interviewing a couple other attorneys. They like this, this, and this about us. So when they call back, we're going to remind them about this, this, and this. Okay. So it allows you to kind of track that portion. But the end of intake and leading into the entire client services is actually going to be project management systems, where they're going to be, or practice management systems, where they're actually going to be tracking, oh, they sign the intake portion is going to be, they sign the contract saying that they're going to work with us. And then you're going to follow them through the entire case. Discovery went out. It just depends on your practice area, but you know how it flows through. If you're using PracticePanther, you can kind of track your tasks. And then at the end, when you're saying, oh, they're done, they're not really done, right? Because we talked about retargeting. So they're actually being put right back into the CRM, and we're going to send them more emails because they might have a legal service need in the future, or they might have a friend or a family member who has a legal service need in the future. So they're kind of just always, once they're in, they're never getting out. They're always circling through these two things. We're always continuing to have information about our prior conversations, building that relationship. If you can even remember the person's daughter and you bring it up in a later relationship, like, wow, they care about me. And this is the two systems that you can track that in, right? You can check both of the systems to be like fully prepared for every meeting you have with a client or a potential client. And that's what we want to get to.
And I agree with that, and just having that one source of truth, so no matter who's logging in to see what the client needs, if the client's calling, it doesn't, if you have multiple people at your firm, it doesn't matter if they're talking with a staffer or a paralegal or the attorney, they can all open up these really important practice management tools, the CRMs, and really see where they are in the conversation. It's a really great client services.
Absolutely.
And let's get into those. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Go ahead,
Oh,
Jamie.
sorry. I was going to say, we can get into measuring your results because it's not, the CRM is going to give you a lot of information. And if you don't know what to look for, it's not going to be any good, right?
Exactly.
So the benefits of reporting, and that means like really understanding the metrics behind what you're doing, right? And specifically, we obviously work a lot with marketing, but this goes for the marketing process, the sales process, the intake process, and the client representation process. And what we want to do is notice where our actions affect our numbers. And by doing that, we can make educated decisions like, are my services up to standard, right? So if we know these numbers and we say, oh, this is not good, but is it because of an output or an input decision, right? So if it's output, are my services up to standard? Are my clients happy with my representation? Do I need to adjust my offerings to fit my ideal client? Because if I'm running and doing everything possibly related to the area of torts law, but my ideal client that I make a ton of money on that comes in my door pretty frequently is a car accident case, why am I doing everything else? Focus on that one thing. And the numbers behind your marketing, seeing what marketing efforts work, what emails are getting the most open rate, will kind of lend that information to help you make an educated decision based on these things, right? So do I need to expand my practice area? Maybe I'm just too picky, and that's the only reason I'm not making money. Maybe I need to put a little bit like of my nose in a book again and expand my practice areas. And like I said, those marketing efforts will kind of lend, be like, oh, I haven't made a dollar. I spend so much on resources, on employees, and on this paid ad campaign that I'm not making any money on the types of cases that I'm getting in the door. That's something we need to know. right? Like that's going to make or break you as a law firm. And then input decisions are things that kind of aren't the first thing that comes to mind when you get like bad numbers right away, but could ultimately impact the happiness or the success of your clients. And then that usually impacts how much money you bring through the door. So, do I need to spend more resources on training my employees? Maybe it's just an efficiency thing, right? We can be so much more efficient if we do X, Y, and Z. And that includes outsourcing. Do I really need to be doing this? Do I really need to be answering the phones at 9 p.m.? No, virtual assistants, right? So, and then when is it time to hire, right? We're getting so much through the door. We can't keep up. And our numbers are reflecting that. We have tons of income. We need more employees. And then do I need to reallocate my resources internally? So maybe I have just too many paralegals or not enough like legal support or admin. What can I do to make sure my law firm is balanced and that the support is where it needs to be?
That's awesome. And so kind of adding on to what Jamie was saying, really kind of want to dive into custom reporting and really how that works with PracticePanther, because we kind of have a really unique feature that we offer, which are tags. And so you can tag contacts, you can tag matters, activities, really explore the complete aspect of your law practice. And so what do we mean by tags? So it's a really great place to understand it is on ROI. How much money did you make on clients from very specific campaigns compared to your ad spend? You'll actually be able to pull that information through the help of tags in PracticePanther. A lot of our customers are also deciding maybe which campaign saw better ROI. Maybe Facebook is driving traffic, but it's not converting into actual leads and customers. So with tags, you can see all the people who are coming in from Facebook and who are converting. And on your traffic, you can see that maybe you're getting a ton of traffic. Those conversions just aren't working. So maybe the Facebook isn't going to be a great place to invest money. You can still be on there and make posts and things, but maybe that investment isn't really coming through. So do you need to tweak some ads? Do you need to tweak your message? Do you need to tweak your audience and things like that? And so these tags can really be helpful. Another one that a lot of people are looking at are, my Google ads converting more than organic traffic. What's really kind of converting coming to my site. A lot of our practices will also, especially if you're a little bit more in the general practice, you can tag specific practice areas, find out which one's overperforming or maybe even underperforming, and reallocate marketing dollars, messaging dollars around kind of those needs. So it's really awesome. You have to have really kind of essential CRM basics in PracticePanther, kind of utilizing our intake, utilizing these tags in our client portal, which is kind of a really nice way to kind of understand that ROI. Again, you probably heard this before, but you cannot measure what you cannot manage what you do not measure, which is, really important. You need to know if you're spending either several hundred or 7,000 on advertising dollars every month. You want to make sure you're investing wisely so that you're actually getting those leads coming back. And then when they're coming to your law firm, you're communicating with them in the way they really want to be communicated with.
Yeah, and Libby said it perfectly, right? Like the way that PracticePanther tracks those numbers and says like this ad campaign's working better than this ad campaign is exactly what we find here at GNGF with our real clients. And GNGF works with a bunch of different attorneys all over the United States. So like the fact, and PPC is so dependent on where you are, what your practice area is. And it's more of a science, right? Like it's going to be a lot of testing and a lot of changing, and those numbers are going to tell you when to test, when to change, and what your next direction or step should be. And with our clients specifically, we had a client that was putting in a decent amount of money into PPC, and he was getting new clients, but not necessarily at the amount that he really wanted or thought he should based on the PPC spend. So we took a step back, right? We said, pause, let's think about this. We came at it with a longer tail keyword approach, specifically targeted like geographic zones, even beyond just state, right? We said, what neighborhoods are most likely to hire you, right? And we said, let's target those neighborhoods. Let's target longer, like more in-depth searches that they're going to be searching. And they actually said, we're all in on that. Let's do it. Their paid ad results now, they have gained over 30 clients from just this effort alone in the past year. So like that was just by looking at the numbers, realizing like not exactly what we want, right? Like we're paying for marketing, we want clients. And so we're like, okay, this is not an exact science. We're going to figure this out for you. And by looking at the numbers, we developed this other direction that was just perfect for what they wanted and what they needed out of the PPC campaign.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And I think it goes to show, nothing is finite with marketing. Kind of as you were mentioning,
Right.
there's always a chance to tweak. If something's not working, there's always kind of a way to improve it or make it better. And so you just have to stick with marketing. I promise you, it's going to return tenfold when you're doing it correctly and you're bringing in the right team.
And not even that, like just every client's different, right? So some clients want a certain outcome and the other clients want an entirely different outcome. And that still defines success for that client.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, thanks again so much, Jamie, for your time today. I really appreciate it. Thanks for everybody who was on this webinar call. If you have any questions about PracticePanther, you can always head over to kind of practicepanther.com/demo. And that is a chance for you to kind of really see kind of a one-on-one opportunity to find out how PracticePanther can kind of help you and help your law practice moving forward. And so feel free to kind of reach out there. I'm also on LinkedIn, Libby Luff, reach out, connect. I'd love to kind of learn a little bit more about your firm, what you're up to, and how we can help. So that's definitely one thing I want to keep in mind.
Yeah, and then GNGF, you can visit for.gnGF.com/PracticePanther 2023. And if you do that, you'll actually get some resources directly from our academy that I spoke about earlier today, and the ability to kind of sign up for the academy for 50% off your first 2 months. So that's like super cool deal that we decided to do for PracticePanther. And as Libby said, I'm also available on LinkedIn if you have any questions about marketing or law firm, communication tools. I'm available at all times, and I will quickly respond or find the right resource to respond with the best answer you can get.
Fantastic. It looks like Joe even joined us from Intaker, so I appreciate the shout out and the Q&A. So that's awesome. We figured we'd have maybe just another minute or so. If anybody had any questions, you're definitely welcome to kind of pop that into the chat. Also, like Jamie said, we're definitely available on LinkedIn all the time. No matter when you have a question, reach out. We'd love to help you. We'd love to help your practice, help you become more efficient, and really, find a better work-life balance. I think that's what we're all here for. Grow our firms, find a good work-life balance. Yeah. Enjoy our weekends.
Yeah. I think even like some of you probably found us through LinkedIn, found this webinar through LinkedIn. So we're always there.
Absolutely. Well, fantastic. Well, we'll kind of take this time now and we'll say bye to everybody. Thanks again for joining. And I hope you have a great rest of your day and your week.
Bye. Thank you.